Have you ever wondered about how our thoughts and feelings are locked in some sort of intricate dance? How at times a simple thought can spiral into a storm of emotions, or why even a fleeting feeling can literally spark a wildfire of thoughts and ideas in our mind? Have you noticed how every step and turn of this dance reveals some new layer of who we truly are deep inside? But there's a twist. What if you could choreograph this dance? What if you could turn every stumble into a stride or every fall into a forward momentum for yourself? See, it's not just about understanding the steps. It's about learning to lead. So if you're ready to take the lead in this mental and emotional tango you've got going on inside, join me on the Life Design podcast for today's Mental Health Monday episode. I'll see you there. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe now so you can join us on every episode. We truly appreciate it. And be sure to engage in the comments section of your favorite platform for your chance to be invited as a guest on one of our episodes. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Life Design podcast and our Mental Health Monday series, where we bring you a weekly dose of insights, a sprinkle of laughter, and definitely some thought-provoking wisdom to kickstart your week. As you likely know, I'm Michael Borland, your host, but I'm also a fellow traveler on this journey, because we're not just talking about mental health, we're living it. We're implementing the things we discuss. And today, we're going to delve into a topic that's super complex, but super fascinating. Let me ask a question. Have you ever pondered the intricate dance between your thoughts and your feelings? It's literally like some sort of internal tango that often leads us into a whirlwind of emotions. Come to think of it, I don't even tango, but I do dance a lot. So we're going to stick with this dance analogy, and you can pick your own style of dance. But I do want to start with a profound quote that I came across. This is really what got my mind thinking on this last week, a couple weeks ago. And this is a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, whether you like him or his, perspectives on life or whatever's, regardless, because this quote is interesting no matter what your perspectives are. And his quote said, "Thoughts are the shadow of our feelings, always darker, emptier, and simpler." When I heard that, I started thinking about it. I didn't really agree with it, actually. So I started doing some thinking, and I realized that quote suggests that our thoughts are a mere reflections, put it that way, or perhaps dimmed and simplified, a simplified version of our deeper emotions. Okay. And I think it would also point, or it also paints a picture where our feelings are the vibrant colors and our thoughts are more like, subdued hues, right? Like the secondary colors of the painting. But I actually want to challenge this view. And I want to consider it from a different perspective. What if our thoughts aren't just passive shadows, or they're not the secondary, filtered hues within a painting? What if they're active players? Okay. What if they're actually leading this dance between thought and emotion? Think about it. How often have your thoughts ignited a blaze of emotions? Like when you receive an unexpected compliment and suddenly you're floating on cloud nine, right? Or what if you misinterpret a friend's comment and it stirs up, a storm of worry or of anger or frustration at what you perceive they said? and all the thoughts that begin flooding your mind based on that. Okay, and here's where it actually gets interesting. If we stop and we look at, say, CBT in therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, looks at it as if our thoughts and feelings are intertwined in this dynamic dance, right? Influencing and shaping each other. There's actually a pioneer from the field. His name was Dr. John, I forget, I'm going to try to pronounce this right. I believe it was pronounced Cassiopo. He actually had demonstrated how our interpretations, whether they're optimistic or whether they're pessimistic, the way that we look at things in the world, how they can color our emotional experience. Almost like wearing tinted glasses or, colored glasses that shade our view of the world. And actually, as I'm saying this, it just reminded me of something that's in my new book that's coming out next month, or March of 2024. It's titled Rewire Your Mind. And it's actually in chapter 2. I refer to it as the shattered glasses perspective. Talks about looking through the world through a lens of brokenness. It's just an interesting perspective in how they look at that perspective in CBT. But let's apply it to our daily life. Picture a challenging situation that you're in. Okay. Let's say, I don't know, you've got a tight deadline at work. Okay. And your mind instantly says, well, this is impossible. I can't do this. Okay. When your mind goes there, it's like boarding the Panic Express, right? It's like getting on a train filled with people who are stressed and panicked in your own mind. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying here? Where I'm coming from? If our thoughts are, I can't do this, we are directing our emotions straight into panic mode. What if we switch that thought to something like, I've got this? So we're in the same scenario. We've got a deadline at work, but we intentionally tell ourselves, I've got this. Okay. In my earlier example of what I say, the Panic Express, this is like putting us on, confidence cruise, right? It tells our subconscious, it tells us in our minds and in our physiology that, hey, I've got this, that I can be confident. And our thoughts can actually really be like a powerful conductors of this emotional train, right? Or this emotional boat, cruise ship. It doesn't even matter whether or not, now, hear me out here. It doesn't matter whether or not the project gets done on time. Again, we're talking mental health. We're talking emotional health here. If we go into it from a, I've got this, from a I'm confident mentality, our emotions and our mental health benefit. And in the majority of cases, so does our productivity. Just simply from our thought or our thoughts being, I got this. Right? This isn't fluff talk. This is scientifically, verified information on the way our brains and our body work together. And the reality is, this way of thinking, it brings us to what is truly a life-changing tool, and And that's a tool of mindfulness. And in recognizing this balance, this dance between our thoughts and emotions. Okay. And mindfulness itself, it's not just some kind of buzzword. It's sticking to this dance theme again, going back to that, right? It's like being the DJ of your own mental and emotional party. Okay, there's a guy out there. His name's Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. Okay, he's kind of like the mindfulness maestro, right? Or the master. He's been doing this at a very, very high level for many, many, many years, decades. And he actually has a saying that our thoughts are like bubbles waiting to be popped. And in his years, his decades of work on mindfulness have showed that being aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment, again, if you've heard me talk about mindfulness before, it's all about being aware of the thoughts and the feelings that are going through us without judgment, okay, and how that can literally transform our mental health. I've actually heard it explained like this. Let's see if I get it right here. It's kind of like taking or switching the soundtrack. You know, again, you're a DJ, switching the soundtrack and changing the tunes or music from a doom and gloom of saying, you know, hey, this is impossible. I can't do this. And switching them to a track that is calm or maybe kind of grooving, right? Something that puts an ease in our minds, in our hearts, and in our bodies and emotions. But how do we translate this knowledge into everyday practice? I mean, if you're following me here, it should be pretty easy to understand it in a simple way, you know, like a dance, or like changing the music. You know, music station is the same way we change the thoughts in our heads. But how do we actually put it into everyday practice? Well, one of the first things that Zen talks about is thought challenging. And again, if you've heard any of, you know, previous podcasts or previous videos that I put out or worked with me at all before, thought challenging is something that that's been a core of what I do for 30 years personally. And when I'm working with anyone, when we stop and we recognize that a thought pops up, we pause and we just ask ourselves, you know, is this thought a hit or a miss? Meaning, is it supporting the life, the lifestyle, the emotional vibration or energy that we want for ourselves? Is it hitting that target, or is it missing that target? And recognize it and learn to make those adjustments. Well, how do we keep track? You've heard me talk about this as well. The next one is journaling, or specifically in this case, emotional journaling. So as we're doing our journaling, we're writing down the emotions that come up in connection to our feelings. It's like having a daily chat with ourselves, right? Just like you would a friend. Oh my gosh, I was thinking about this and I got all nervous and I got worked up, whatever the case is for you. You know, you're actually writing it down in a journal as to say, you know, hey, today my feelings went on this adventure, right? They took off and out into this area, and, you know, and just explain them. I don't want to try to give you the words. If I do that, it's not, and you try to mimic them, it's not going to be authentically you. And that's the whole point of this. You're literally just writing down notes that you could come back to later and compare. Hey, 6 months ago, I made this note. I had these thoughts, I had these feelings. This is how they played off each other. This is how they danced. And today I had a similar situation, but look how differently I felt about it. Look how differently I handled it. And you learn to choreograph these thoughts and emotions to work for you rather than against you. So another thing to look at is mindfulness practices. Taking a moment, morning, midday, evening, anytime, driving. Okay, be careful driving. But taking a moment to breathe. Taking a moment to meditate. Meditate doesn't always have to mean your eyes are closed, you're doing chants. That it doesn't have to be that way. If you're not familiar with different types of meditation, go back a few weeks in the podcast, and I've got a rather descriptive episode on meditation and the different types of meditation. But it's just taking a moment to just stop and be. To not grab onto thoughts, to allow them just to go by and recognize them and just let them go. Don't grab onto them. Don't create momentum with them. Just, oh, okay, I recognize that thought. Let it go by. Okay? It's about tuning into our inner world and fine-tuning our responses to both thoughts and to feelings, because your thoughts will, as you, I'm going to say, move them around on that mental dance floor, they will create feelings in you. And it goes the same way for feelings. As you recognize the feelings that you're feeling, primarily based off of those thoughts, again, I think about it in the reverse of what Frederick's perspective was on it, that thoughts were based on the feelings. My perspective is more that it's the thoughts that we have that we turn into certain feelings based on our history, our memory, our past experiences. There's another thing that we want to look at in all this, and that is to pause for a minute and really take note of the power of positive affirmations. Okay, in starting our day and affirming our strengths and affirming our goals and our competences and in who we are and in the part we play in this thing called life, right? Because it truly is up to us. We truly do have the choices. Are they hard? I'm not going to say they're difficult, because they're not. They're simple. It's simple to shift our thoughts to a different way of thinking, to shift our actions, to move us forward towards things that we want in life. Does that mean that it doesn't come at a cost? That is not what I'm saying. Sometimes we have to be able to walk away from certain things, certain comfort zones, to make these shifts, to be able to stop and truly understand that dance, that balance of thoughts and emotions. But when we do this and we intentionally think more positive thoughts, and again, a moment ago, I used the term positive affirmations. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil. And quite frankly, that's what our mind is. Your mind is extremely fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant, it will grow. It will create a harvest of the things that you are continually planting in it. Unfortunately, many people plant as much bad seed as they do good. Many people plant way more bad seed than they do good. But if you're planting good seed in fertile soil, the soil of your mind, you'll be able to watch those seeds grow throughout the day. They're transforming your thoughts. So again, going back to the morning, you're planting good seed in the morning, and every time you think about it throughout the day, you watch those thoughts grow throughout the day, transforming the thoughts later in the day, the emotions, throughout the day into blossoms, right? Into like a blossom of positivity, of positive momentum and action toward the things you want in life. Again, choreographing a dance. It's like the choreography. You pay attention to the thoughts and the feelings. We intentionally make them direct us or guide us in a path that we want in life, just like choreographing a dance. This dance of thoughts and feelings is so powerful when we learn to take the time and make it work for us. And I just gave you a few very simple tips on how to do that. Matter of fact, I want to share on Wednesdays, I am literally at the beginning of a series of average versus successful thought patterns. It's actually from my book, Improve Your Thoughts, Improve Your Life. I'm walking through all 70 of the most common disempowering thoughts that people have. Okay, this is 20, when I wrote the book, 25, 26 years of notes and tracking perspectives that people have, average people versus that same scenario, and the different ways of thinking that more successful people have. And I'm not talking success just being money and that sort of thing, but getting the careers they want, having the relationships they want, being legitimately more happy in life, and seeing that way of thinking just create an ease in their lives. But I want to point something else out. This dance of thoughts and feelings, it's not a solo performance. Okay, it's more of a duo or an ensemble act, right? Meaning it's important to share these experiences with people, with friends, with maybe a support group, definitely with professional guidance, seeking help, therapists, coaches, doctors, what have you, whatever it is for you that works. Every step, every move in this mental, emotional dance, it actually can make you stronger. It can make you more resilient. Okay? It's important that we, I'll say, embrace the rhythm of our thoughts and our emotions. Okay? That we learn to recognize it and that we embrace it. Even if it's not working quite the way we want to at first. Again, that's why you're really learning to dance. You go get some dance lessons. You learn, you talk to somebody that's a better dancer that can choreograph. Say that right this time. They can choreograph a few moves for you. Okay, that's what therapists and coaches and different people that are professionals in this sort of thing can do for you. Because it's not just about keeping step or keeping in step. It's about enjoying the music of our minds, of our hearts, of what I would call that coherence between the two. And I want to encourage you to literally tune in and, I guess what I would call turn up the volume of your focus on yourself, on your self-awareness, on your mental health. So I hope that this conversation today has got you thinking about that dance between your thoughts and your feelings or your emotions. And that you'll begin to recognize things like, ooh, when I think these particular thoughts, it makes me happy. It makes me energized. It makes me sad. It sucks the energy away from me, whatever it is, so that you can begin to control those thoughts. Reverse side, that you start to recognize the emotions. If you're not recognizing the thoughts first, some experience, some environment just gives you a vibe, an energy that's maybe not good. That one of two things can happen. That you can learn to limit exposure to that experience or that environment. Or that you can learn to change the thought patterns that you use while you're there, that while you're experiencing it, to help shift the emotion or the feeling that you're getting while you're in that experience. Okay, it is a dance. It is my belief that the majority of the time, the thoughts are what's coming first. But as someone who's very intuitive, almost to a fault, intuitive and empath, I feel energy and emotion from others before I ever even have a conversation with them. So I do recognize that sometimes those things come first, and then they generate more thoughts. Then the thoughts generate feelings and emotions, and those feelings and emotions generate thoughts. So it is a dance. I want it to be a happy dance for you. So join me next Monday for another round of some mental health insights, some things that you can use on a daily basis to get better and better at recognizing yourself, at mastering who you are, and at having some control and some positive influence on your life and specifically on your mental health. So until then, stay mindful, stay marvelous. And remember that every single day is a new opportunity to literally create the rhythm of your life. I remember a song like that. I'm not going to sing to you guys. Some of you just started singing that song. I know you did. Can't remember the name of it. Regardless, choose to live awesome. Choose to enjoy your journey. And we'll see you again next week. Actually, we'll see you on Wednesday.